Well, it's Wednesday afternoon, November 20th. We're just getting ready to get into the beans now. The area that I'm in right now, we had a few acres of corn to clean up. We had one field that we had chopped part of it. We had some corn to combine there, and then we had a 4-acre piece just down the road from it, and then the rest of the ground that we have in this area, we have beans on, about 50 acres over here. So Sean's just getting the bin all blown out now, getting the corn out of the bin. Being that we're doing high moisture, the corn likes to collect in the corners because it's got just enough moisture in it. It gets sticky and clumpy, so he's getting the bin cleaned out. We'll empty that onto the grain buggy here, and then we got to do the same thing to the grain buggy. We just got to set a couple of adjustments here. We got to change the sieves around a little bit, and we've got to drop the feeder house chain down and whatever, and then we're going to get things underway here. This is the first year that we've grown beans, and I've never combined them before, so it's going to be a little bit of a new experience for me. So we just got to change a couple things around, then we're going to get things underway here. Got a knife.
Yeah, that'll work. I just got that auger that can put top work.
Alright, I think we're ready to go now. We got all the corn that was hung up inside the grain bin. Sean's got that blown out, cleaned out. We emptied that over into the grain buggy. Then he ended up doing the same thing with the grain buggy. That went on the truck, and that headed back to the farm. The cement silo is full. We're going to do beans for a couple days. Hopefully we can get them all done. Then we're going to top the silo off, and then start filling the bunk. So what we're going to try and get done now is all of the beans. We might get rained out here tomorrow night. We might have to jump back to corn for a while and then back to beans again. So we got the stone trap cleaned out. We got the feeder house grate in the right spot. Like I said, the bin's all cleaned out. Now we're just going to put the head on. Now this head, this grain head's a 20-foot flex head. I hit a some kind of a trolley stake here back when I was doing wheat. I'll put a card up here when I was fixing this flex head here. We put all new plastic on the bottom. It's got a brand new knife bar. We ended up replacing the knife bar, a bunch of guards that we replaced, and then what I had actually bent was the flex bar on this side of the head. It was about 3 knife sections. I grabbed that stake, and you'll see that in the video. Like I said, I was going to drop a card up above here. I did one a while ago or whatever, and we ended up having to replace the whole flex bar. And all that flex bar is, it's only about 3.5 inches wide, and it's like 1/4 inch material, but it's spring metal, and that's what gives the head, not really its rigidness, but it kind of keeps all the little tiny sections together there. That enables the head to go into flex mode for following the ground to do beans. And we also flex the head when we cut wheat, because we run the head right on the ground to get as much straw as we can. We only leave about this much wheat stubble. So We're gonna get the head hooked on, then we're gonna go through a couple of settings on the combine, and we're just gonna see how things go as far as getting things adjusted right so that, you know, we've got a good clean amount of grain in the bin. So, well, what do you say we put the head on, go get a cup of coffee?
Yeah. Sean
says yeah. We're gonna go late tonight just because Sean wants to. So, right, Sean?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's slap this head on and run over and get a coffee. Alright, we got the head all on there, and it's time for us to get some fresh coffee here. So, as you can see, these knives are all new. Actually, the whole knife bar itself is new. And that's the first time this knife bar has been replaced in 5 years. So, it had the original knife bar in there from when the head was new. The head is only 5 or 6 years old. And there's the phone. So we're gonna grab some coffee, we'll get back, get some settings set in the cab, and get at it. All right, we've got a little bit of a setback here. We put the flex head on the combine, and then for whatever reason it wanted the head to be calibrated, which you usually don't have to do that if you haven't changed any sensors or anything like that. Whatever. So it wouldn't let us calibrate. It kept coming up with an error. When we did hook up the hydraulic coupler right there, all the lights turned on. All the work lights turned on the combine. So we figured we had something wrong. Then it wouldn't calibrate, and we got looking around, and this wire harness that comes up to this plug right here had gotten down onto this belt or something, and there's 20 freaking wires chafed back. So we're gonna have to go through each one of these wires here and tape them up. I was gonna cut them all off and shorten them up, but there's not any wire missing. I cannot believe it, but there's not one strand of wire on these wires broken. So we're just going to tape them up. The butt connectors are a good idea to use. I use the heat shrink style connectors, which is these here. Well, this is a 14 gauge connector. This is actually 18 gauge. Wire, which is this red one here. I've got a pile of these. I was just going to cut a piece out and shorten them all up a couple inches and fix it that way, but we're just going to tape them all. And I don't know where this harness goes to. I don't know how short it is. If that doesn't go too far that way, I'm going to replace the whole harness. So we're going to tape these up, and then we're going to get the head on there and see if it will calibrate. Alright, we've got the wires all taped up. I mean, it is freaking pitch black dark here. We can't see all that well. So we're all taped up. It's kind of a half-assed job, but they're all covered up anyways, and then we're just going to kind of tape that all back together. Once we put this head on, make sure that everything is working before we run some tape around there, and then we're going to have to get this zip tied up out of the way. We don't know, we just think it got down underneath this shroud somehow and got into the belt. So it's lucky we even got wires left. So let's get this hooked up and going, and That light kicks ass. That is a Milwaukee light stand. I'm glad I bought that. I've only had it for a couple weeks now. So we're gonna put the head on and see if we can't get this calibrated and try to do some beans here. I'm not so sure if maybe it's already starting to get tough. We might not only do a little bit and have to wait till tomorrow. So, alright, we're up and going now. I don't know how much we're gonna be able to do tonight with the dew setting on and everything like that. So we're gonna try some. We'll end up rejoining you here tomorrow and we have some actual daylight and we can actually do some videoing. So let's get on it here. We're gonna try a little bit and then we'll join back up with you tomorrow. Alright, it's Thursday morning. We're getting ready to switch over to put high moisture corn in the bunk. We've got the silo full and we need to use this auger to take the corn away from the roller mill and dump it over the wall of the bunk. This is a, I don't know how long this auger is, maybe 25 feet or something. It's a 10-inch auger and we use this auger to get the corn out of the cement silo and it goes over the back of the commodity shed wall and into the commodity shed bay. Now this has a 10 horsepower electric motor on it. It's a 3-phase motor. We're going to take the motor off. That motor's got a belt and pulley on it that runs the gearbox there sitting about in the middle of the auger. We've got to take the gearbox and move that down a little ways and hook a PTO shaft up to it so that we can run this auger with the tractor and then the hopper on the end there. We've got that set up so that we can just put a, it's just got like a 12-inch or a 11 or 12-inch pipe on it that we hook our clean chute boot to. We're going to take that off in there and then just put a regular end on the auger that we can set the hopper onto. So we've got to get the motor off, get things switched around so we can run this auger with a tractor. We tried doing beans last night. It was too late. There's too much moisture in them. There's a lot of moisture in the air right now and we're thinking maybe by 11 o'clock today we can try doing the beans. It doesn't look like we're going to have enough sun to do that, so we're going to have to probably switch back over to corn and do the beans when it's dry enough here. So we need a little more sun. So while we're waiting for the sun here to get working on things this morning, we're going to work on this and we'll make a decision here later on as to what we're going to do, whether we go back to corn or beans. Alright, we've got the electric motor removed from the auger and then everything bolted together right here, and the reason why they do that, they get it up a ways on the auger so that there isn't so much weight down on this other end. So we've got that gearbox there was just mounted up there and then it had a pulley on it, and then what we're going to do is just put a PTO shaft on the other side there and run it with a tractor. So we had to lengthen this shaft, got a weld coupler there that we're just going to weld together. This bearing right here had a groove in the other shaft, so we kind of had to take care of that. So we're just going to weld this 1-inch coupler on there, and then we've got to take our end off and then we'll be ready to go here. Alright, we are ready with this auger. We've got the end on it so that we can drop this auger down into a hopper, and we got our power shaft on the gearbox, and then everything is moved down from up above. So we're gonna run up and set it up against the bunk wall. Nate and Joe have got a hole dug in the ground. They've got the hopper sitting in there, and we'll set this in, see how it fits. Alright, we are up at the bunk now, and where we're at is right in front of the hay barn, and then we're just going to run that auger right up over the wall and into the bunk that we want to put this in. Nate has dug a hole here in the ground. We got the hopper setting in there where we don't quite know if that's in the right place or not, so we're just getting set up here now. I go that way. I think that hopper's got to come this way. Alright, I think we got to reposition this hopper. I think it's got to come more towards the edge of the concrete, so yeah. Alright, so we got the hole dug. We're not sure if we're going to be able to go into beans or not. We only have one hopper, so we don't want to fill the dirt back in around the hopper till we're sure we're going to be stuck in on corn here. So we're going to leave that hole there, leave the auger kind of setting in place, and then we're going to go try beans now. We need to use that hopper on an auger that we have set up to a grain bin. So we're going to try doing the beans now. The sun's been out here for a little while, and I think we're gaining. Alright, we're going back to corn now. The beans are just too soft. They won't go through the combine that well, and we just haven't gotten any sun here. So the reason why we moved into beans when we did is because the area that we're at right now is the furthest farm to the east of us, and we finished up with corn there, and we had beans here. So rather than just move out of the area with the combine, we tried them and they are not ready to go. So we've got to wait for some more sun here. It was humid and just gray and whatever yesterday. We just didn't get enough sun, so I put the header back on the cart. They're going to move that to the farm that I am going to be moving to now, and then maybe by late tomorrow afternoon or in the next couple days, maybe we can try some beans where we're moving to next, and then we'll just have to come back up into this area and knock these out. So let's strap this down, then we're going to move to the next farm and start back in on corn. We've got a couple of loads that we could put into the silo to top that off, and then we're going to move to putting corn in the bunk. Alright, we are right into the corn here pretty good. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get after the beans, but we've got some better weather here coming up, and we'll be able to get on them. We do have the silo full. I don't have the roller mill switched over yet to go to the bunk. The plan was to do beans after we got the silo full, get beans done, then come back to the silo after it sat for a couple days and settled, and topped it off, leveled it, and then cover it and call it good. And then we can take the blower off the roller mill and use that roller mill to put corn into the bunk. Now earlier on in the video here, you've seen that we set that auger up, and that's just what we use to get the high moisture corn into the bunk. Now when the corn goes into the bunk, you cannot put it in full kernel. The only time you can store high moisture corn full kernel is when you put it in an airtight silo. You can put or an airtight bag or something like that, but if you're going to go into an open air environment, something like a cement silo, which is open at the top, or a bunk, which is going to have a piece of plastic on it, but you have to grind it, and we'll have to run it through the roller mill. And then to get it into the bunk, we found the best way is to just use the auger to go over the wall. Now, in the past, we've had to use a longer auger to go into another truck, and then take that truck and take it to the bunk and do it that way. But being that we're on a different level there with our bunks, it works real nice where we have to go with it to just dump over that one wall. So okay folks, so that's going to do it for this video. We'll get into what's going on here in the next video. Stay tuned. We'll talk about the setup that we have here and how we're going to process this corn going into the bunk. So I want to thank you for watching. If you like these videos, remember, hit the thumbs up, drop me a comment down below, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy folks. Thanks again.